All right, good evening. Let's get started, everyone. I'm just recording for myself, so don't be alarmed because you all heard that. This is just for my knowledge. I hope y'all are having a good night. We're going to start with the basic of credit repair. I see some of you was in the last bankruptcy class, so this would be kind of a good starting place for you when you're getting started with doing credit repair for yourself or for anyone else that you choose to do it for. I've created a short ebook here that I'm just going to reference for tonight. So let me just get it pulled up. And then let me share. Okay. So can you all see my screen here?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
I can see it.
Perfect. Again, this is just titled Getting Started with Credit Repair because, again, this is just the very basics of what you're going to be doing when you start. First things first, you're going to need your credit reports, okay? That is very important. And believe it or not, a lot of people do not know how to do this step, or they use those free credit apps like Capital One, um, Credit Karma. Not saying that those apps don't work for like just your day-to-day basics, just seeing if something pops up or if someone's pulling your credit, that's fine. But for your overall credit profile, I would not trust those reports because there's a difference in the FICO scoring system, and there are different variations of the FICO scoring system. So you have the FICO, and then you have Vantage. Vantage is different, and a lot of the free apps use what is known as Vantage. But you may think that your credit is higher when it's actually lower than what you think it is when you pull your actual credit reports. I always say if you don't want to pay, just use freeannualcreditreport.com because the credit bureaus have to give you a free credit report every year. So that's the law. But since COVID hit, they've been giving you one every week, but I wouldn't go check it every week because it's not going to update until once a month. So if you want to use it once a month, okay, that's great. If you haven't used the site before, it might prompt you to download your credit report. Send in your identification, proof of your identity, and all of that before they allow you to download it. And it's an immediate. It's an oh crap. Free annual credit report. It's an immediate download from all three credit bureaus. So everything that's listed on the credit report is what they are actually reporting in real time. Okay. And I love it. I also get mine from this site once a month. And I also do it for my husband because if Equifax is reporting something that's not listed on another report with another credit monitoring service that I use, well, I'm already notified that it's there because I'm pulling this particular report. So I love this site to use for the credit reports. And I also tell clients, like, if you do not want to pay the fee for Smart Credit or Identity IQ, I think the biggest one coming up now is Credit Score Hero. I think that's what it's called. So if you don't want to pay for services like that, just use that annualcreditreport.com. The next thing you're going to want to do is update your personal information. This is very, very important. We're going to go over it later on. You want to also identify derogatory accounts, anything that's causing your credit report harm. You're going to follow up on your disputes. I can't stress this enough. You have to follow up. Even if they say that the item is verified, do not stop there. Okay. A lot of people want to stop there, and I tell them, then you really don't want to fix your credit, because there are a ton of consumer laws that you can use to break down their defenses and verification. The next thing is you're going to want to rebuild your credit profile. That is super important after you have done damage to your credit report. A lot of late payments, collections, even bankruptcy, things like that. You want to rebuild, but you want to strategize when you rebuild, because a lot of us don't want to wait the full 6 to 12 months that it takes to actually season a credit line. So that's when trade lines and other things come into play, like adding your rent, credit building apps, things like that, everyday products that we already use. This ebook, I'm going to also put it on the site because I redid it. I'm going to put it on the site, and you can download it on my website after I'm done editing it. Everyone should know what their FICO score breakdown is. All that is the percentage of each category that makes up your credit score. So your payment history is the biggest factor. It's 35% of your overall credit score. Your utilization is 30%. Credit age is 15%. Increase in credit mix is 10%. Okay. You can control this number and have excellent credit for the rest of your life, because you know what makes up your credit score. So you know if you take a dip, then you've done something wrong. Maybe you missed a payment by mistake, or your utilization is up on one credit card, so you need to pay it down. So payment history is 35%. It's the highest impact. Let me say that again. It's the highest impact. And the last 2 years is always what factor up this particular section of your credit report. Okay, so if it's over 2 years, like a late payment was over 2 years old, it's not really playing a big role on your credit scores. You can lose anywhere between 50 to 100 points for every late payment that you have on your credit report. Let me say that again, 50 to 100 points. Okay. So if you're consistently late, or you have one account that's ton of late payments, you've already killed your credit score. Okay. You want to make sure that you are on time, and that if you foresee yourself being late, reach out to your creditor. Sometimes they have a way to divert that payment to the end of the life of like the loan, or sometimes your credit cards can give you a grace period. If you've been consistently paying on time, they will work with you. But a lot of us just don't communicate, and then we're late, and it messes up our overall credit profile. Okay. Your credit utilization, again, this is high impact. This is the section that a lot of people don't realize, that the due date and the statement date are two different dates that you need to actually look out for, because your statement date is the closing date of that credit card, and that is when they're going to report the balance to the credit bureaus. So let's say you've been actively paying the card, but you forget to pay it before the statement date, and they report a $700 balance on a $1,000 card. Well, you can anticipate that your score is going to drop, because that's almost most of that credit line. You want to keep it maybe between not over 100 or 200 some dollars on a $1,000 card, and that's pushing it. Okay, I would just say keep the usage very low. My rule is, if you can't pay the amount back right then and there, don't use the credit card. Um, when you have high usage on your card as well, the only way to fix that is asking them to extend the credit to make it higher, increase the limit on the card. And if you haven't been consistent with paying, they're likely not going to do it. So again, if you can't pay it back right then and there, do not spend on the card, because you would rather have all the points for that section of your credit than have that part hurt you because of the balances. And also, if you do not have any credit cards, it's not helping you at all. And AU accounts do not help when you're rebuilding, or if you're just starting out, because you still need to have two primary accounts in your name where you're not writing someone else's credit. Credit age is 15%. It's like a moderate impact. It's really just how long an account has been open. The reason sometimes it can have a more greater impact is when a season account is closed. So let's say you have a Capital One card and you've had it for 10 years, and Capital One decides you become a credit risk because they recently, peeked at your credit report and saw that you carrying a lot of high balances on credit cards, and they, foresee bankruptcy in your future. Well, they'll go ahead and close your credit line, and then you lose that whole teenager credit history right there because essentially they just closed the credit line. Okay, and credit card companies do that. So if you go pull your report and you look and you see that Capital One has peeked at your credit report, that is why they periodically pull out credit reports just to view them to see if they'll give us an increase or if they need to decrease it or close it altogether. So you will see that your credit card company looked at your credit report because they, go in and see if this person still is a good candidate for our product or if, okay, they are being irresponsible and they may be headed to financial trouble. So we want to just minimize our loss. And so they'll just close the credit line. And it happens a lot. Inquiries are 10%. It's not really a lot of impact unless you have a ton of inquiries. Now, if you have 2 or 3 pages of inquiries, then of course it's going to drag down your score. Look at all the hard inquiries that you have. And this happens to people all the time, mostly those that go inside of the car dealerships and decide to trust them in running your credit versus going to a bank, the same financing companies that the car dealer is going to use, except they probably have some that gives them a backdoor commission for everyone that they get approved. So I just say cut out the middleman. I never like, dealing with the middleman. I want to go straight to the source, so I like dealing with banks and credit unions, specifically credit unions, because they're going to always give you a lower rate. So I tell people all the time, get a relationship with the bank. Most credit unions, even if you don't qualify for a checking account, they will give you a savings account as long as you put $5 into the bank. So, I mean, it's not really a issue with building a relationship with the bank. Even the small towns when near you, you can go open up an account. Some people like, okay, I can't get Navy Federal or, the other big ones, USAA. So these are just known brands. But remember, banks are competitors. Sometimes Navy Federal tells me no, but my other credit union will tell me yes. So just remember, credit unions and banks are competitors. So just because one bank may not give you what you want, doesn't mean, okay, I can go to the other bank that I'm also doing business with and try to get what I need from them. So that's why I tell people to establish relationships with banks. I tell people all the time, this is my little saying, I may not have many friends, but I have many friends in the banks, because I do business with a lot of the banks. Credit mix. Again, this is just the mix of accounts that you have on your credit report. So credit cards, mortgage loans, student loans, auto loans, things like that. You want a good mixture of accounts on your credit report. A great mix that I always recommend: 2 open credit cards in your name, 1 short-term loan. Most have this with student loans. And that's perfectly fine if you want a short-term student loan, because some like 6 to 12 months sometimes. But I also say do self-lender kickoff. I want to say Cova does the line extension. You can also go to a bank, do a 6 month with a bank. Now, short term is anything below 6 months. Okay, long term is anything over 12. So again, that's mortgage, auto, personal loan, student loan, anything like that that's over 12 months. Okay, your FICO score point breakdown. Now this is what I mean when I say control your credit score, because now that you know how many points each section is, now you know how to maximize of getting all of those points. If you know that payment history is 35% and it's 192.5 points, then I know I need to be consistently on time for the next 2 years to get all of those points. Okay, so payment history, 192 points. Credit utilization, 165. That means I need to report low balances for the next 2 years, especially if I've done damage within these last 2 years. Credit age. is 82.5. Increase is 55. Credit mix is 55. Okay. And it is broken down 5 categories. Within those 5 categories, each section is worked up to a certain amount of points, and these are the points that you want to control. Again, I'm going to make this available on the site if y'all want to just use this as a starting guide. Because the payment history is the biggest factor of your credit profile, you do lose a lot of points when you are not on time. And you have to, again, the payment history has to be consecutive for 12 months. Okay, so you have to do that for 2 years to get the entire 192.5. Okay, but you can maximize your credit for just being on time. And I always tell people, I don't personally just use my credit all the time either, but I know I have 2 years of consecutive on-time payment history because I use credit builder apps things as well. I may get kickoff, I may do sell. I also do secure credit cards and set up subscriptions on them just to keep my score building, but I don't actually use my personal credit for anything other than just making sure that I keep A1 credit. But I don't rack up a lot of debt, so I don't have to worry about losing any points in my payment history, if that makes sense. Okay, credit utilization, 165 points. I can't stress this enough, so let me say it again. It's 165 points. So when you are reporting high balances, you missing credit card payments, or only paying the minimum, you are losing points, a lot of points. Okay. To earn all 65 points in this category, you need to report a utilization between 1 and 3% consecutively for over 6 months. Okay. It has to be over 6 months. So that's why I tell people with these credit cards, do small subscription, like use a credit card for subscriptions, maybe do a credit card for grocery and gas, but keep it low. Keep the balance as low as possible. This is how you maximize getting every bit of point from this category. Now, if you do not have any open or active credit cards, you're not gaining a single point. Even with the AU credit cards, you are not gaining a single point. Yes, it's helping your overall credit utilization for your credit profile, but you yourself are not gaining any points because you don't have an active credit card in your name. It has to be in your name. Okay. Utilization over 30% will cut these points in half. Okay. It will kill your credit scores. So again, do not carry high balances. And I'm going to later on show you, but whenever you see on your credit report high balances or high balance, so let's say you have $1,000 credit limit and then you have a high balance of $998. That high balance is going to report that $998 regardless if you bring it down or not. Okay, because that's the highest balance that you have carried on that credit card. And the only way to fix that is to ask them for an increase in your credit limit. Okay. Credit age is 82.5, and that is the average age your accounts have been opened. So anytime you close an account, get an account deleted, open a new account, you will lose credit age. And the older the account is, the more points you will lose in this category. Okay. You can gain all 82.5 points with an average credit age of at least 12 plus years. That's why it's okay to add authorized users accounts if you would like to after you've already done your 2 main accounts. Inquiries, 55 points. They have little effect on your score though, unless you just racking up hard inquiries like crazy. It really won't affect your score too much. Credit mix is also 55 points, just a mixture of accounts that you have. So if you only have 1 or 2 account types, you really are not getting your maximum amount of points. So that's why I say if you don't have like a mortgage, student loans, things like that, then make up for what you're losing out on because you don't have a good mixture. Okay, so you want to at least have 2 credit cards. a personal loan, and you can do all of this with one credit building app. I know Self will give you an actual line of credit, personal line of credit, like a savings account. They also have a credit card now. Kickoff also does the same. I want to say the COVID credit app, like I said. Um, Also, you can do Rent Reporters. That's like a credit line that reports also like a mortgage kind of. So it's an installment loan. So hey, it'll help. And I want to say most rent reporting app go back 2 years now. Okay. Again, in order to repair your credit, you must be aware of what's on your credit report. You should check your credit report at least once a month. Okay. Especially when it, like now towards the end of the year, when people are going to start getting raises and bonuses going into next year and even filing taxes and things. This is the time that debt collectors start looking at your credit report to see if you're paying off paying off debt. If you have any new credit lines open, things like that, where it seems like you come into money, then that's when they'll hit you with lawsuits. Also, um, if you look at your credit report and you see in the soft inquiries, you see certain debt collectors looking at your credit report, you can also anticipate if they're going to add it to your credit report or if they're going to sue you. Okay. So that's why I say if you go ahead and get ahead of what's coming, you can prevent 90% of things from ever hitting your credit report just by checking it. Okay. I showed you the annualcreditreport.com. I love that website, live by that website because you can guarantee what is on that report is actually what's reported on your credit file. If it's not on that report, then it's not on your credit file. Okay. I also love Smart Credit. The only reason I love Smart Credit is because they put each bureau side by side. So it's easier for you to dispute when you're using that specific report than when you have to skip from screen to screen looking at TransUnion and Experian and Equifax. Someone like me, it doesn't bother me because I've been doing it for so long. But if you're just starting out, I would always tell a client to do a 3B report because it makes it so much easier when it comes down to disputing. Let's get into the personal information section. I have a report pulled up. Okay. Now, you can just tell this person had a lot of personal information that was incorrect on their credit report. I can't stress this enough. Don't do that. Don't have a lot of names on your credit report. That is just not something that will help you in the long run. Okay. The personal information section of your credit report is so important because it's the first thing lenders are going to see when they open up your credit report. So if you go and put, let's say, a different name on your credit application that's listed on your credit report, you're going to get denied because then they're going to think it's identity theft. So if you've been recently married or if you recently divorced or if you changed your name, any of that, make sure your credit report reflects your accurate name. Okay. You do not also want a whole lot of name variations on there because then they're going to be wondering, why do you have so many different names? Will it be hard to track you down in the event that you default on this credit extension? So that'll give them grounds to deny the credit app. Also, a lot of addresses. Why do you have so many addresses on your credit report? Do you bounce around a lot? Are you getting evicted? Are you losing homes? Like, these are questions that are going to go through a person's mind when they look at your credit report. Also, they add addresses that are not even yours sometimes because debt collectors do what is known as skip tracing. So they may try to like find one of your relatives to reach out to them like, hey, have you heard from such and such, or do you know this person? We're trying to contact them. Do you have any updated contact information? And let's just say, your relative like, oh yeah, her address is such and such, and that's not really your address. Well, they will go and add that address on your credit report. Okay. Also, when you're doing credit applications and you're using different addresses, they will actually add those to your credit report. And the biggest one I want people to know is when you're doing applications for your businesses and you're putting your name on the application and then you're using the business address, actually putting your name up there, then they're going to add your business address to your credit report. You can have your telephone number listed if you would like. I don't have mine listed. But if you do, debt collectors can contact you based off your phone number being public because you have it on a public credit report. Okay. Well, it's not public to us, like no one can go get it, but it's considered public to them because they can pull it at any time. You want to keep your employment to one unless you recently changed jobs. Then have then have two. Then have two. Only if you recently changed jobs, okay? Because you want to make sure you have consistent employment history, okay? They want to make sure they can verify your employment, just so they can know that you can repay whatever it is that you want. So, how to stop collection from even being added to your credit report? Make sure the address is not actually on your credit report. So, whenever a debt collector sends a collection to the credit bureaus to add it, they first look at the address that is listed on the collection and then your credit report. And if it matches, then guess what? They're going to add it to your credit report because they see that the address that the debt collector have is also listed on your credit report. That's verification. Okay, to them it is. So that's why I always say, make sure that section is ironclad. I myself, because my personal residence is private, I never put my personal address on my credit reports. I always have a P.O. box listed. So even when I'm dealing with creditors, I always put my P.O. box as my address. Okay, so whenever you look at my credit report, you will see my P.O. box listed, but you won't actually see my residence. So they won't have a way to verify anything because I never use my address at all. And again, lenders like to see stability. So when you have assessed addresses, they feel like you're consistently on the move, a sign of instability. If you have too many employers reporting, do you quit jobs a lot? Do you get fired a lot? So these are things you have to think of, and this is a red flag. So think of yourself being a bank manager. Would you give someone that come in there with 20 billion addresses credit products? Like, no, because in the event that I need to take you to court, I can't even serve you papers because I don't know where you live. And if you need a quick boost in your credit score, just cleaning this section up, I have seen my clients' credit score go up 75 points sometimes. Just having old names, misspelled names, names that should have never been added, because sometimes they may have like your middle name, then your last name as your name, and it's not. Just having it deleted can increase your credit score over 75 points just doing that little thing, okay? And making sure that it's always accurate. Now, if you're in, like me, if your address never matches any identification, that's fine. Just make sure you have a piece of mail with the address on it. And what I do, a lot of us can do this as well. You can tell your creditor, you can have my personal address, but my mailing address is different than my personal address. So make sure you update this in your records, because then they'll start publishing your P.O. box. And so once your banking statements, or let's say your power bill goes to the P.O. box, well, that's proof of your address there. So you just need something that has your address on it as proof that you actually live there. And then the credit bureaus will update your address and remove all the other things that are not on there. And what I like to do to get it cleared up faster is I go get my letter notarized and I send it certified mail. So I know that y'all know that this is what I need you all to do. This is a simple dispute letter for address removals. Again, nothing fancy, just you have addresses that are wrong and not deliverable by the U.S. Post Office. I need them to be removed. And always send your ID, your social security card and proof of your residency in every envelope that you send to the credit bureaus. Let me say that again. Anytime you send a dispute letter to the credit bureaus, you want to have your ID, your social security card, and proof of residency in the envelope. If you do not, they're going to send you a response saying that they could not verify your identification and that you will have to resend the dispute letter to them. Okay, so make sure you do that. Now, once you pull your credit reports, the thing that I like to do best for me and my clients is I go through the entire report, okay, and I highlight everything that is wrong. So I go and I highlight all the late payments, collections, bankruptcy, accounts included in the bankruptcy, charge off judgments, late payments, accounts listed with attorneys. All of those things are considered negative. Once I have them highlighted, I group them by each section. Okay, so if I know I have 6 collections, I have 6 charge offs, things like that, I list it. And I like to start at the bottom of the report. I go ahead and I do the top personal section, personal information section. I clean that up. Okay, first, I go ahead and send that dispute letter off. And then I start at the bottom. And you're going to ask why the bottom? Because all the bad stuff is going to already be at the bottom. So if you have collections, deleting collections off, that can raise your credit score 100 points per collection that you get deleted off your client's report. So if they have 6 collections, you will boost their credit score up so fast by getting those 6 collections deleted. And then especially bankruptcy, because you'll probably have the any public records or be before the collection. So first it'll be your public information listed, and then right above the public information would be your collection section, and then right below the public information section would be your inquiry section. Let me see if I can show you what I mean. I pretty much tried to cover up this person's personal information, but if I see something or their name or anything, I'm going to stop sharing really quickly so I can go ahead and get it, you know, dotted out, spotted out, whatever. So as y'all can see, inquiries right here. Um, Nothing too fancy. You see inquiries listed. You'll see the creditor name, type of business, date of the inquiry, and who's reporting said inquiry. Now, if this person had public information section, you will see right here where I said it would be public information section, inquiries, and then right below or above that would have been collection. But since that person doesn't have any collection, there's none listed there. Okay, but that would have been where the collection would be. Positive accounts that you do not have to worry about disputing would be accounts with 2 years of history, just on-time payments. That is positive account history. Anything that doesn't have a positive account history is hurting the credit report, and that means no late payments, none whatsoever. If you cannot go through your report and find any of the following, like active credit card, active short-term loans, active long-term loans, or any accounts that do not include late payments, then you need to add some accounts. That means anything that is listed on your credit report is negative, and that is why your credit score is reflecting negatively, because you don't have any positive accounts. Everything is negative. Okay. And that's okay. Okay. Rebuild. Starter credit cards for rebuilding for credit profile 300 to 500. I offer a card that you can use that I have used myself. I only put $200 on it, and the good thing about the card is it backdates, so it'll report more quickly. And I want to say it gives you upfront. I want to say it gives you 3 months of on-time payments. Open Sky, I don't really like them, but if you get approved, then hey, okay, they do have a high APR rate, but I do not like them. Capital One has a great secure credit card. I love them. They also have some of the best traveling cards once you get there. But starting a credit line with them will definitely get your foot in the door. Discover also has a secure credit card now. It's called Discover It. Love them. I also started a card with them for my kids just to build them credit out. put up the money for the credit line, but it has been a valuable tool. It also gets your foot in the door with Discover, and Discover and Capital One have merged into one company now. Capital One took over Discover cards, so that's even better. Well, kind of, sort of, but whatever. Capital One again has unsecured cards that your secured card can graduate into an unsecured card. Discover as well. Um, this is again the beginning steps with credit repair. Also, the biggest things is learning your laws. I'm not completely done with the ebook, so it ends here, but I have already pulled it up because it's basically the guide that I was doing, but again, I'm adding more touches to it so that you all can get a full overview of how to get started. Now, with this guide, whatever disputing that you have to do, whatever guide that you need to pair this with, this will still be your beginning steps. Okay. You can't repair what you don't understand again. So you have to pull your credit report. So I'm teaching you how to do that. Also, personal information section, I will not start anything anywhere until I clean up my personal information section. And you can also call them over the phone and have them delete addresses and outdated addresses and misspelled names and things like that over the phone. And they'll tell you it's going to take 30 days, and you can hang up and get a notification, hey, we deleted this. And I do that a lot for clients, especially if it's women. And I ask them before I do it, though. I'm like, do you mind if I call and I, pretend that I'm you? And they'll say, oh, no, go ahead. And I'll go ahead and just clean up their personal information section because I don't want to wait on the letter. But you can also file a CFPB complaint. You can do that, and they're clear it up quickly. But the thing I like doing is talking over the phone because it's so much faster. But I also send a follow-up letter to them if they say that this address is verified because a creditor is reporting it, and that's their favorite thing to say. And I will tell them the FCRA does not distinguish between whether a creditor has an address or the credit bureaus. They still are required to report accurate information. And if I'm telling you that's not my address, and that doesn't fall on the creditor, that still falls on you. So they love, screaming that, oh, one of your creditor is reporting it, so we have to report it. I'm not responsible for the creditor, but if you want this creditor to get you sued, then hey, who am I to argue with you? Do your thing. I'm going to sue you, but do your thing. Okay. But you have to learn the law. Okay. I do not care which letter from me that you buy. You still need to know where to go to follow up. Okay. As a consumer, you have a ton of rights. They are very limited on what they can do because these are private corporations. These are not public corporations. So they buy your information third hand most of the time from other vendors. And if you was in the bankruptcy class, we went over some of the vendors. But if you need a breakdown, there's a class, a third party class. I would suggest you go and watch that video before you get started disputing as well, because you need to hit these third party companies because they have your information and they are sharing it amongst the credit bureaus, and you have to shut that down first because these are the companies that are reporting are furnishing the information to the credit bureaus. Okay, so you want to learn the Fair Credit Reporting Act because, again, it governs all of the reporting companies, Anovis, TransUnion, Experian, Equifax, LexisNexis, ARS, SageStream. All of these companies are governed by the CRA. Okay, and it'll tell you that on their website. We are governed by the FCRA. They'll also have it in thousands of pages that they send to you. And that's a great tool to use when you're trying to clear up these reports. Like, hey, it's not my job to verify this information. It's your job to verify what you are reporting about me. But I'm telling you it's not correct. Okay. And I tell people that it's very lucrative in fixing your credit because you can pull like 5 of your third party reports and start there and probably find 5 violations per report. Well, that's $5,000 per report. That's $25,000 because the FCRA states that it's $1,000 per violation. and I want to pull that up. So everyone like, hey, how do you get this money? How do you get so much money? Because it says. And if I spot 5 errors on my credit report, then I'm going to sue you for $5,000 because it says I can do that. Okay. Let's scroll down. What does that say? Any actual damages sustained by the consumer as a result of the failure or damages of not less than 100 and not more than that. In the case of liability of a natural person for obtaining a consumer report on a false pretenses or knowingly without a permissible purpose, actual damages sustained by the consumer as a result of the failure are 1,000, whichever is greater. So doesn't it say that they have to give you $1,000? Okay then. So if I go pull all of my third-party reports and start there before I even touch the credit bureaus, I can get a badge just from the third parties. I don't even have to start just knocking the credit bureaus up the head. I will spot 5 inaccuracies just on the third party, like LexisNexis. We were talking about that in class. They have so much of our data, and I wish more of us will pull that report. They report educational records, property records, auto records, insurance records. They report credit card history, collections, tax liens, child support. They have so much information, and that one report can make you so much money. Okay. But again, you have to know how to use the law to get the money. Okay. And that's another thing that you have to learn is the law. Okay. Which law to go to get your remedy. Because there are a lot of them out there, not just one. The LCRA is just one law. There are a multitude of laws out there that you can use for your advantage to clear up your credit report. And the biggest one on your side is the fact that you have a right to privacy. Okay. The Fair Debt Collection Practice Act, that governs debt collection. Okay. They have so many laws that they have to follow in the course of debt collection. So you have to go look at that act. That's also $1,000 per violation that they do. So for the ones that have collections and they are reporting or updating monthly, that's a violation. You're actively letting them violate you, and you're getting nothing out of it. The fact that they even have the audacity to be reporting a collection should be enough for you to be like, okay, I'm going to sue you because why would you add this to my credit report? And what contract or what authority gave you the right to put this on my credit report? And if you say you contacted me, then you have to show proof in court that you did. And it has to be certified mailing. They have to have proof that they actually delivered that letter to you and they know for a fact that you got the letter. Because what if I moved and you never sent the debt validation to my house for me to formally send in a notice to you saying, hey, I got your notice that you're saying that you're now trying to collect XYZ from me for this account or this and that. Well, I dispute that I owe it. And if you put this on my credit report, I will sue you. That's all I'm going to say. That's my initial contact to you. And if 90% of us do that, when we get those little notices that, hey, we're a debt collector, we're attempting to collect a debt. If you send in a little notice to them, letting them know I dispute this, it'll never get added to your credit report. And in the event that they do, keep a copy of the letter that you're sending them, telling them that you disputed, so that the moment they add it on there, that's a $2,000 violation. I already disputed it. You didn't send me any proof, and then you added it to my credit report. That's $2,000 for your actions. So again, keeping records and knowing the law helps. Truth in lending, that also is a great one to go look at. Equal Credit Opportunity Act, that's a great one to go know too, and that's when you are applying for things. Okay, so inquiries, you use that one for inquiries. All right, the Fair Credit Billing Act, you will want to use that one for late payments. Go read that act. Okay. Again, these are just some of them. This is not all of them. By far, this is not all of them at all. Okay, we have the last 10 minutes to talk. Go over anything else y'all do not understand. You all have the floor. No questions? Do we have any questions? No questions? I gotta see something in the chat. I mean, if y'all want to type it in the chat, if you want to, you can, or if you want to come onto the floor and just unmute yourself, just one at a time, that's fine. If no questions, I can end it here. No questions? Okay. Well, thank y'all for attending tonight. I hope this was a good start for y'all. Again, this is just a starting point, but it's a great starting point because now you understand how everything ties in. I am going to start hosting a free class twice a month now until we all have excellent credit in the credit community. Again, I'm going to finish editing the ebook. It's going to have everything you need, everything. You are welcome. Y'all are more than welcome. I love doing this, so I just wanted to help. If you have not, go ahead and sign up for the collection class. If you have collections, you are very welcome. Because again, it's not hard. None of this is hard. So believe me, none of this is hard. It may be overwhelming at first, but it's not hard. This ebook is going to break it down. So even if you follow up with another one again, this is a great starting point. Yes. Thank you for signing up. Yes, I think I'm down to like 5 spots left for the collection class, and I didn't even think it would go that fast. I probably end up having to add some more spots, but I don't know. I have no idea if I am or not. I literally did not think it was gonna fill up that fast. But yeah, yeah, that was crazy to me. I think that was the quickest I ever had a class about sell out. But a lot of people been asking me about collection. I was like, y'all really don't know how to get money from these people, and it's really easy. It's easy. I sit and I make money off of them for fun. That's why I tell people all the time, like, I wish I had some of y'all credit reports because I really don't play those type of games. I send you a notice to be nice. I'm a nice person. I'm gonna send you a notice like, hey, I noticed this. You put this on my credit report, or you did this, and I will give you an opportunity to fix it. And then after that one opportunity, I'm gonna summon you to a courtroom, and then we're gonna talk about some things that you've been doing. And don't let me get outrageous because I'm gonna go see my therapist, and I'm gonna sit on the couch and talk to my therapist about all the anguish that I'm going through because I can't get this credit card that I want. I'm gonna pitch a fit, and I'm gonna get the bill, and I'm gonna take the bill to court with me too, so we can play games all day. But the games that I play gonna cost you money. So yeah. Thank you. The collection class won't be the last class, so don't think just because you don't have collections that's it. I'm going to have another class that go over charge-offs because I know a lot of people have high balance charge-offs, and they like, well, how did you get a $26,000 charge-off removed? Well, it's easy when you know what you're doing, and most people get sued after getting such a large, charge-off deleted. I haven't had a client get sued yet. Not one. Not one client can ever say she got me sued. And I've been doing this again since 2017. And I never got a client sued. All right, y'all have a great night. Once the ebook is done being edited, I'll drop it in the group for y'all and just let you know it's on the website and you can go download it. It'll be just like the Google Doc, so it'll make it easier for you all to get the information out of it. Again, thank y'all for joining me tonight, and y'all have a good one. Good night. Good night to you too, Angela.